Today, Muffin becomes champion. First off, before we begin, this is where we're at. Muffin is a level 76 and has Aqua Tail, Ice Beam, Headbutt, and Swords Dance. We also stocked up on our Etz Defense, Special Defense, Speed, and Full Restores to help Muffin as much as possible. Like before, we start each of the battles by using 3 of each of the Etz items, starting with defenses, then speed, and finally using Swords Dance 3 times to max out as many of our stats as we can. Muffin really showed how shining she is and set the tone for the run by expelling the poison herself, not just once, not just twice, but 3 times in a row, allowing us to very quickly get through all of that setup. Now that we've got that done, it was a simple matter of using Headbutt over and over, taking out each of his Pokemon. All of them went down in a single hit until Vespiquen, which in turn used Defense Order, so it didn't even attack back, and it was a simple Ice Beam finished it off. This is also the point I realized I didn't heal up after farming money earlier, and I was missing a couple Ice Beam uses, which hopefully doesn't come back to cause any problems later. With that, we beat the first of the Elite Four, just 3 left and the champion to go, so we headed off to the second one. We followed our strategy at the start, setting up like always, but by this point I was both really appreciating them starting with Pokemon that don't hit hard, allowing us to get ready, but also getting really done with Toxic, and constantly being poisoned. The amount of times they poison us over and over while setting up is quite annoying. Despite taking thorough notes last time, I somehow missed Water Absorb on Quagsire, and when we were finally ready to attack, it did absolutely nothing. So we used a Headbutt, which didn't quite do it, and we needed another. This Quagsire took 3 of our limited number of attacks. Besides Golem having Sturdy, then getting fully healed, everything else went down smoothly and nothing posed any threat. We were now done too, but this is where the real challenge begins, since we hadn't seen much of this third one before. As you can guess, we started with our normal setup, but this time we were very aware that the Lopunny can easily take out Muffin and we need to deal with it quick. Happily, Rapidash doesn't have Toxic, but instead uses Hypnosis to put us to sleep. That wasn't much concern since we were using our items anyway, but the only real risk was feeling a time limit since it also used Iron Tail, which can lower our defense. Once we were ready, we used an Aqua Tail to finish it off, and out came the dreaded Lopunny. We weren't going to wait around to see what happens this time though. We immediately used a Headbutt, and Muffin even got a crit just to be safe and made sure we didn't have to deal with it anymore. Now we were officially in new, uncharted territory and had no idea what to expect from this point on. The rest of his Pokemon didn't pose much of an issue, except we ran into a really big problem with his Drifblim. It's Flying Ghost, and our only attacking move left was Headbutt, a normal type, so the Ghost typing made Drifblim immune to it. Remember earlier with the Ice Beam? This made us use our only Elixir, which applies a ton of pressure since in any future attempts we won't have access to that anymore. We were finished with the third now. Just one more of the Elite Four stood between us and the champion. This one was super easy. Even while editing this, there simply wasn't anything interesting to highlight. We just did our normal setup, then swept through their team no problem. Only slightly stressful part was when the Medicham came out, since we have quite the history with Medicham beating Muffin, but it all turned out fine. Finally, it's down to this. Muffin versus the champion. We had no idea what to expect. So we stuck to our current plan of stacking up our stats and hoping to wipe out everything in 1 or 2 hits. Luckily, the Spirit Tomb didn't hit us very hard, so we were free to set up as we had hoped. Once we finished getting ready to begin the final showdown, we hit Spirit Tomb, which sadly did just under half. When we tried it again, Cynthia swapped out the Spirit Tomb for a Gastrodon with Storm Drain, which effectively works like the water absorbed from earlier, but it also raises their special attack, which was worrying that they now hit back harder. A headbutt brings Gastrodon to about half, and Muffin's way too shining to get hit back, so a second headbutt finishes Gastrodon off. Just 5 Pokemon left. Seeing Lucario was worrying. That fighting type was going to really hurt Muffin. An Aqua Tail just barely didn't do the job. Luckily, she went for a nasty plot and didn't attack back. Then next turn healed Lucario, so we got to finish it off for free with no risk at all. 4 Pokemon to go. Next up was Roserade. Not much to say here. A crit headbutt knocked it out in a single go, although it did poison us in return. Just 3 left. Next up, the Spirit Tomb came back, which was very convenient since we knew we could take a couple hits from it, meaning we could heal the poison. Then an Aqua Tail finally finished it off. 2 to go. The penultimate Pokemon was Milotic. A headbutt just barely brought it to half, then it got burnt. It flinched, so we could do it again for free, but somehow it held on still. This means it got a full heal and we had to do it again. At this point though, we ran out of uses for our moves and had to use an ether to bring Headbutt back. After that, we just used our newly refreshed Headbutt until we got it. Only 1 more Pokemon stands in our way. The final challenge was a Garchomp. Our Ice Beam did a good amount thanks to it being double weak to ice, but it did have a berry to protect itself once. Its Sword danced back, which was very worrying that it was going to hit us back way too hard for us to handle. Without its berry, we kept up the Ice Beams, being grateful we didn't use them earlier, and when it retaliated with an Earthquake, it did way less than I expected. So we Ice Beamed again, and Muffin even got a crit to finish it off in an extra shining way. All that was left was to walk down a hallway and claim Muffin's place in the Hall of Fame. Muffin was now champion and officially the best Pokemon in Sinnoh, and obviously the whole world. Thanks for joining Muffin on her adventures on becoming the greatest and cutest Pokemon to ever exist. She's our channel mascot for a reason, after all. So please remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of Muffin's future adventures, and join us on Twitch every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern to catch Muffin live.